this is Hera. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you're joining me for this video because I am setting up my bullet journal for the last month of the year. This video is brought to you by my online shop Ikigai Papier. I'm reopening it on November 21st and I'm launching a new sticker collection, which I've called the Patreon collection. You can see it right here. There are 12 sticker sheets in the set, one for each month of 2021, and this collection is an homage to all of my bullet journal themes and Patreon printables that I've made this year. I only have a very small quantity of these, so this is the most limited edition collection I've ever released. You can find my shop at ikigaipapier.com. Now that that's out of the way, let's dive right into my bullet journal spreads for December. Last month I used tons of washi tape and stickers, but this month I'm just using pens and markers plus a tiny bit of washi tape. I've really been enjoying not using black in my November spreads, so I'm doing the same for December but with pink. So for my lines I'm using this fine liner from Copic in the color Wine, which I think I got in an art subscription box 2 or 3 years ago. My theme is definitely inspired by vaporwave aesthetic, and I'm also mixing in some holiday elements, although very subtly. I really didn't want to do a holiday theme this year, and I think part of the reason is that I filmed this in October and Christmas just felt so far away. Now it's slightly closer, but I'm the kind of person who don't really want Christmas to start until the middle of December. So I do celebrate Christmas, but I prefer less festive themes. That being said, I included a liquid looking glass ornament on my cover page and used red as an accent color to all of the pink. You might notice that this video looks and sounds a bit different than my usual videos, and that's because I don't have my regular editing tools. As you know, if you watched my previous videos, I'm currently in the US and I didn't bring my iMac with me for obvious reasons, and I didn't bring my audio equipment either. So although I filmed this in October because I was moving out of my apartment and all of that, I am now editing on my iPad, which is a whole new experience for me. It's not all bad, but I do really miss my professional microphone, so I'm working on a solution for that, but for now this will do. I went through several stages while working on this theme, mostly with my choice of colors. I initially wanted to use this washi tape from the washi tape shop, but it turned out not to fit my markers at all. So I ended up removing it and I drew a similar picture where I had intended for the washi tape to go. The pink markers I had were pretty cool toned and there was a lot of warm orange in the washi tape, and I just don't think it looks that good to mix cool and warm tones like that. So I settled on just drawing everything instead, and honestly I kind of love how it turned out. I also had some other washi tape that was more of a fitting pink color. Some of them are from the Sakura washi tape set from Notebook Therapy, and some I've received in pen pal letters. I think the glittery one with stars on it is from shop Amanda Rach Lee. I really like it, although it's a little bit thicker than normal washi tape due to the glitter. But overall I'm really happy with the washi tapes that I got to use for this setup, and I love pink, so it all worked out. I know that I'm not the first person to do a theme with web browser, windows, and clouds like this. I think it's a very popular kind of art style these days. I mean, some of my friends did it back in 2018 and 2019 already, but I thought it was time for me to give it a go, so I did. It's very dreamy and cool toned, and I think it works really well for the darkest month of the year. The neighbor is using a circle saw outside, and I really hope that you can't hear it. It's either circle saw on this side of the house or traffic on the other, so we just have to go with what we have, right? I only have one fine liner in this color, which is the size 0.3, so some lines I'm going over twice to make thicker, and other lines I am holding the pen really loosely so that the line is thinner. It's possible to do a lot of different types of lines with just one pen. While filming this I still had all my stationery at hand, but now that I'm in the US I only have one pencil case's worth of pens and markers, and I need to be creative with how I use each pen. Or I can just buy more markers and pens. We'll see what happens. It actually took quite some time to color in this spread because although it's pretty small, like all of the colored areas are pretty small, there were a lot of different colors that I had to use to kind of build the images that I wanted. So the coloring itself took quite some time, switching between markers all the time. Instead of trying to do a gradient with my markers, which is really hard with just regular Tombow markers like this, I used washi tape so that I could build layers with very straight, crisp lines. I think this worked out really well. I didn't do it for the cityscape square on the right page, but for the left page I did, and I think it worked out really well. I am building from light to dark because I want it to look kind of like a sunset or a sunrise, and then the sky will always be lighter towards the horizon and it will be darker on the top of the sky. Does that even make sense? At the top of the sky? I don't know. English is hard. I'm getting lots of practice these days though, being only around Americans. To give the spread a little extra flair, I got out my Finetech watercolors, which have different tones of gold and silver. A good trick when using these is to put some water in the pan, mix it around and let it sit for a bit before picking it up with the brush that you want to use and painting with it. I find that the color is a lot more opaque when I do this. A fun fact, I actually bought these watercolors back when I went to college in Salt Lake City, which was in 2017. If you want to hear more about that, you can go check out my academic journey video, which I made like half a year ago or something. I've had these Finetech colors since then. I didn't bring them with me to Salt Lake this time though, but maybe I'll get a new set. I used the silver color to accent the clouds and moons and stars, and it doesn't really show up that well on camera, but when you see the light reflected in the paint, it's so pretty. So I ended up just adding more and more silver stars to my sky, which I think turned out really nice. I kind of like that it doesn't show up that well unless the light is hitting it directly, because it kind of becomes this hidden surprise. I also added some sparkles, of course, because this isn't a Mochibujo video without sparkles, right? I also went over the lines an extra time with my fine liner, and then I went around everything with this thin squiggly line, which I've been doing a lot this year. If you watch my videos, you know I've been loving the squiggly line ever since like April or May. Is it getting old? I don't think so. So I went around everything with that. And the very last thing that I did was to add some white and silver details to the liquid ornament. I think it needed something to make it look more like glass, and the white didn't show up as well as I wanted it to, so that's why I added some silver. And then I also went over the quote with my fine liner one more time because it had kind of vanished behind all of that color. So I made it stand out a little bit more. If I had a thicker fine liner, I would have just written it with a thicker fine liner from the beginning, but I only had the 0.3 fine liner, like I mentioned. And now we can move on to the next spread. And this spread will be my calendar spread. For November, I did a vertical calendar, which I like to call a writer Carol style calendar, because it's the one that he uses for the bullet journal method. But for December, because of the theme with the web browser windows and lots of square and rectangle shapes, I felt that it was more appropriate with a traditional calendar. So I made a few rectangles on this page, kind of layering them on top of each other with some clouds in between, making it more three-dimensional, I guess. And the largest one will contain the calendar. I also mixed in some branches because I wanted something that was more organic to mix with all of the web browsers. I don't know, I just can't really do a bullet journal theme without mixing in something organic. Usually it's a branch or some leaves or something like that. The calendar itself is very simple. I'm doing 5 days on one side and then the weekend on the other side. It's just a natural way to split the calendar for me when it goes across 2 pages like this. And I made sure to add lots more clouds to make it more dreamy, and I also did a quote here on the right side of the page because the calendar is actually quite small compared to the size of the spread, so there's lots of room for decoration, and I felt like I wanted to make it still seem quite open and airy, which is why I didn't fill the entire page with decoration, but instead made the layers and made it kind of spread out a little bit and have lots of white open space. For the clouds, I am not coloring them in completely. I'm just going around the edge with my lightest pink Tombow Dual brush pen, and this is an effect that I really like. I could have done it even for the web browsers too, but I wanted to have lots of pink color, so I just colored in everything. For the bottom rectangle here, I did another scene inspired by the washi tape from the washi tape shop. I alternate between the different pink colors with the clouds. This time I did the lightest ones at the bottom and then just went one shade darker every time. If you didn't know, I have a Patreon where I give my patrons early access to my YouTube videos, and I also make digital calendars and digital stickers, like printable journaling kits basically, every month, and they correspond with the theme in my bullet journal. And this month I actually made this spread into a printable calendar, and it's available to all of my patrons regardless of their tier. I just thought that it would look really fun as a calendar, even if you print it out to hang it on the wall, or if you print it out and cut it out to put in your journal. I just thought that the shapes and everything would work really well for that, because usually I make a calendar that is different from my spread, because it's meant to be printed out and maybe hung above your desk or printed out as like an A5 to put in your journal. But this time I literally just recreated this and did the entire spread. But for my Patreon printables, I went with a slightly different color scheme. So I went with warmer colors, so a lot more red and a lot more warm pink tones. And that was the color scheme that I initially wanted for these spreads. I just didn't have the markers to fit that color scheme. So the Patreon collection is actually the colors that I intended for this theme, while the spreads that you see here is the color that I just had to settle for because I didn't have the correct markers. I say correct markers, there isn't really a correct answer. I think this theme would look great with any color scheme really. You could even use blue or purple or even green, I think would look fun. So there isn't a right answer. I would love to see recreations of this if you want to do that. I think it's pretty simple to do, lots of rectangles and not that much drawing skill is needed, I think, to create this. I think that the most important part of the spread is to give it that three-dimensional feel. So layering things, layering clouds in between the layers of web browsers and just making sure everything has something behind and in front of it. I think that's the trick to this kind of spread. Here I am again going in with my Finetech watercolors. As you can see, I haven't used the silver very much. I think this is the first time that I used this particular silver watercolor in my journal, or even at all. I don't think I ever used it other than for some swatches, so it was about time. I did paint some garlands, kind of, because I wanted some more silver details in the web browsers that didn't have clouds in them. But the main details is the lines of the clouds behind the power lines. Power poles? Power lines? Yeah, I think that's what they're called. And then, of course, I added some silver stars to my sunset, sunrise skies. And all that was left to do on the spread was then just to add some sparkles, of course, making sure that all of the silver paint reflected the light nicely. I went over twice, some places, because it wasn't opaque enough, in my opinion. And that's it for the calendar spread, and we can move on to the last spread I'm going to make in this video. My December setup is very planner focused. I'm not doing any trackers or playlists or anything like that. Instead, I am making the spread that has a task list and a list of the main things I want to prioritize this month, and then also a little section for gifts, because Christmas is coming up and I do celebrate Christmas. I need to make sure that I have all my gifts in order. I'm celebrating with Jordan's family this year, so it will be a little bit different than normal, but I want to make sure that I get all my gifts done in good time. I will even get to send off some gifts to my family in Norway because my dad is coming to visit in the middle of December, so he will bring back some presents that I am putting together for my parents and my brothers. So I'm really happy about that. So I just want to make sure I have everything ready in the beginning of December, which is quite unusual for me because I am a very last minute person. This spread was probably the most fun to do the line art for, and I really liked how it looked without color. For a minute I debated whether I should leave it like that or not, but I ended up coloring it and it turned out nice in the end. But I really liked doing the line art. It was really fun. Maybe it's also because it's not black that makes it a little bit more fun to me. Since I am using washi tape to decorate my spreads, I have a little trick for you. I like to cut my washi tapes to be a little bit thinner than they normally are, because then they will just look more proportionate to the decoration of the spread. I mean, I love the size of washi tape. It's usually great, but in these particular spreads, it actually looked better with thinner strips of washi tape. So for a lot of them, I cut them down so that they would be slimmer. Usually 1 centimeter or something like that instead of 15 millimeter like they normally are. Since this video is about planning for December and all of that, I thought I would tell you a little bit about my December, what it's gonna look like. I am not doing Vlogmas this year. I just don't have a good setup for filming at the moment, and since I don't have my laptop or anything yet, it's kind of a hassle to edit videos, so I'll still be putting out roughly 1 video a week or every 2 weeks, depending on what I can get done. But I do have a special Christmas themed video coming out on December 1st, which I'm very excited about. It's a collaboration with another bullet journal YouTuber. Some of you definitely know her, she's great. So that's coming December 1st, it'll be really great. And then of course I have to set up my new bullet journal. I still haven't decided which journal I will be using, so if you have any suggestions then leave them down in the comment section below. I will of course also do my January setup once I have decided on a notebook to use. And a lot of you liked my most recent reading journal video. I get a lot of questions about showing actual book spreads, and I do show a lot of those in my 2021 reading journal setup video, which I posted a year ago, but I am considering making some more reading journal videos. Probably not every month, but maybe every other month or so. So let me know what you think about that. And that's generally what I have in store for my YouTube channel for December. And other than that, I am of course also making Patreon printables. I want to do something special for the new year, but I'm not sure what yet. So in December, I will have all of the January printables coming out in good time before the new year, of course. I might want to do another live at some point. That's always been really fun. And then what remains then is my shop. I have brought some stickers with me to the US, and I've just ordered some shipping supplies here. So my shop will stay open for as long as I have stickers, and when I run out, I will see if I can make some more, or maybe release some new designs before the end of the year. So we'll see. That's still kind of up in the air, haven't really decided yet. We'll see what happens. I've been thinking of maybe renting an office space while I'm here, so we'll see what happens with that. I'll keep you updated, of course. You'll be in on everything, all the little details. So that's kind of what December has in store for me. I hope that you guys will have a great December as well. I'm not quite ready to go into full December mode yet though. I would like to savor the last parts of November and just enjoy fall while it's here, because winter will be long enough. I mean, I'm from Norway, so I'm used to very long winters. Now I'm in Salt Lake City, which also has very cold and white winters, so not that different really. I found it so interesting in my November plan with me video. A lot of you guys told me that you'd never experienced fall because there isn't fall in your country the way I'm used to fall in Norway. And it's just really interesting because I can't imagine living somewhere where there is just summer and then less warm summer throughout the entire year. It's so weird. I mean, it might be great because you won't have to have different wardrobes for different seasons. But I don't know. Does summer get old? Do you get sick of being warm all the time? I don't know. I really like warm weather unless it's too warm, because then I die and I get really upset when it's very hot. I get very annoyed. So I don't think I would do well in a country where it's warm all the time, but I also hate being cold. So I don't know. I just want a nice balance. Wow, that was a long tangent. Back to the spread. I am just doing the squiggly line around all of the shapes now and doing some silver details, some more hanging garlands here, because that really screams Christmas time to me. Hanging garlands and Christmas lights and all of that. A quick poll, do you prefer colored Christmas lights or just white Christmas lights? Because personally, I think that white Christmas lights just is more classy and nice looking, and colored Christmas lights are a little bit tacky in my opinion. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, those were the spreads that I am making for December this year. And then in addition to these, I also have my weekly spreads, which I've been super efficient. I've actually already made them because I had to do them before leaving, because I'd be leaving all of my pink markers in Norway. So yeah, there you have it. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, put a sunset or sunrise emoji in the comments, and please take the time to click like on this video and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. I am also on Instagram. I'm also called Mochibujo there, and I have a Patreon also called Mochibujo. So please check that out if you would like to see more from me. And that's really all I have for you today. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!